Some stories are just that, stories. They flicker in the firelight, told and retold until they lose their edge, fading into the background of memory. But others have roots, digging deep into the soil of a place, fed by tragedy and watered by time. These stories become part of the land itself, impossible to separate from the earth beneath your feet. The Blackwood House is one of those legends, clinging to the fog-drenched hills of coastal Maine. Its silhouette haunts the horizon, a constant reminder of the past that refuses to be forgotten. For over a century, locals have whispered about strange lights, disembodied voices, and a presence watching from the windows. Some say the house itself is alive, breathing in the mist and exhaling secrets after dark. They call it the house that breathes. Its walls seem to pulse with a life of their own, as if the building remembers every sorrow and every secret ever whispered within. Our journey begins with a warning. Don't go. The house doesn't like visitors. Some who entered never returned, and those who did were changed. But for us, that's an invitation. The unknown pulls us in, curiosity outweighing caution. We want to see for ourselves what truth, if any, lies behind the legend. What really happened within those decaying walls? Is it just imagination, or is there something real lurking in the shadows? Every creak and whisper seems to hint at a story waiting to be uncovered. The drive there is like traveling back in time. Paved roads give way to dirt, towering pines block out the sun, and the air grows colder. Each mile feels like a step further from the world you know. Isolation settles in. You feel alone, or maybe not alone at all. The silence is heavy, broken only by the crunch of gravel and the distant call of a crow. As we round the final bend, the Blackwood House appears, slumped and weary from its own dark history. It seems to watch us approach, as if weighing our intentions. Even from a distance it radiates sadness, a monument to forgotten memories and secrets. The air feels thick, as if the house itself is holding its breath. Local legends say the land is soured, built on sorrow. Some believe the ground remembers every tear and every loss, refusing to let go. Our mission? To cross the threshold armed with technology and skepticism and listen to what the house has to say. Tonight we seek the truth behind the whisper on Blackwood Lane. The Blackwood House is a portrait of decay, Victorian elegance now surrendered to rot. Peeling paint reveals weathered wood, shutters hang like vacant eyes, and the porch is a death trap. A single rocking chair sways in the breeze as if moved by an unseen hand. The front door, scarred and scratched, looks like it's tried to keep something out, or in. Inside the air is thick with mold and something metallic and sweet. Sunlight barely pierces the grime, casting distorted shadows. Wallpaper droops, dust blankets every surface, and time feels curdled. The grand staircase creaks, each room colder and sadder than the last. The house is a silent museum of a life interrupted. Our investigation began with a baseline sweep. EVP recorders, EMF meters, thermal cameras. Every device was carefully placed, each cable checked and double-checked, as we prepared to document even the faintest anomaly. The air was thick with anticipation, and every creak of the old house seemed to echo our own nervous excitement. For hours, only our own sounds and the wind filled the silence. Shadows stretched across the walls, and the house seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to happen. We listened, straining to catch anything out of the ordinary, but the night remained stubbornly quiet. Then, through static, Sarah heard the faint tinkling of a music box from the nursery, though none existed in the house. The melody was unmistakable, delicate and haunting, as if drifting from another time. We all froze, exchanging uneasy glances, unsure if we'd truly heard it. We tried to debunk it, but found nothing. No hidden speakers, no toys, not even a wind-up mechanism. The room was empty, yet the sound lingered in our minds, impossible to explain. Later, Mark conducted an EVP session in the master bedroom. "Is there anyone here?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The room felt colder, as if something unseen was listening. On playback, a soft, drawn-out sigh answered, a sound not from any of us. The sigh was so clear, so human, it sent chills down our spines. We replayed it again and again, searching for a rational cause. but there was none. The house was beginning to answer. It was as if our presence had awakened something dormant, something eager to make itself known. Activity escalated. A door we'd confirmed shut creaked open on its own, revealing darkness beyond. The sound was slow and deliberate, as if inviting us to step further into the unknown. No draft, no explanation. It felt deliberate. An invitation. The sense of being watched grew stronger, and the air seemed to hum with unseen energy. The house was no longer just making noises, it was interacting with us. Our equipment began to spike, and strange noises echoed from empty rooms. Each event blurred the line between imagination and reality. We questioned our senses, but the evidence was mounting. Our skepticism was tested with every unexplained occurrence. Doubt gave way to curiosity, and curiosity to a growing sense of unease. The energy in the house was shifting, growing more intense. It felt as if the walls themselves were watching, waiting for our next move. We realized we were no longer just observers. The investigation had become personal, and the house was drawing us in. The haunting had begun to include us, and we could feel the story unfolding around us, one chilling moment at a time. Paranormal investigators know the shadow figure, a fleeting shape at the edge of vision, always just out of focus, always gone when you turn to look. These apparitions are often dismissed as tricks of the mind, but for those who have experienced them, the sensation is chillingly real. In Blackwood House, these shadows became more than fleeting. They grew frequent, unmistakable, and disturbingly defined, as if the house itself was alive with restless energy. It started as a subtle feeling of being watched, a prickling on the back of the neck, then evolved into glimpses of tall, slender figures darting across doorways, always just out of reach. Ben's night vision camera caught a dark mass at the top of the stairs, human-shaped but eerily featureless, gliding silently down before vanishing into thin air, leaving us breathless and questioning what we'd seen. One night I saw a figure by the fireplace, tall, gaunt, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, its presence so vivid I could almost hear the rustle of fabric as it shifted. When I called out, it vanished instantly, leaving only a sudden chill in the air, as if the temperature had dropped by several degrees. These shadows seemed drawn to us, always appearing at the very edge of our flashlight beams, as if they were curious but wary, never fully revealing themselves. The most chilling moment came late one night. Sarah and I saw a child-sized shadow peeking from the pantry, its small form lingering in the doorway before silently retreating into the darkness. The image haunted us for days. We didn't feel threatened by these entities, but instead were overwhelmed by a deep, inexplicable sadness that seemed to fill the room whenever they appeared. Who were these lost souls, forever trapped here, wandering the halls in search of something they could never find? The encounters grew bolder with each passing night, as if the shadows were testing our courage, daring us to stay. Each sighting deepened the mystery, making us question what was real and what was imagined. The house's history felt alive in the darkness, as if every shadow was a memory replaying itself, desperate to be seen. We were no longer alone, and the presence of these shadows would change us forever. Cold spots are classic signs of a haunting, but in Blackwood House they were aggressive, moving, swirling, almost sentient. Our thermal camera revealed ice-cold patches, sometimes shaped like handprints or full silhouettes. The second-floor hallway, especially outside the nursery, was the coldest. Temperatures dropped by 30 degrees in a single step. Mark stood in one cold spot during a session. His breath fogged and he felt a crushing weight on his chest. The cold felt ancient, unnatural, and deeply emotional. These spots brought overwhelming despair, as if the house was forcing us to grieve with it. We theorized they were the residue of tragedy. Moments of pain burned into the air. The house wasn't just cold, it was mourning. Each encounter left us shaken, chilled to the core. The sorrow was as real as the temperature drop. The house's whispers became direct through the spirit box, radio static forming words. In the dining room we asked, "Who are you?" The answer, "Father." In the nursery, Sarah asked, "Can you play with us?" A small voice replied, "Cold." The ball we'd placed rolled to her feet. In the basement, the spirit box spat angry commands. Get out! Leave! Now! The voices upstairs were sad. In the basement, they were furious. Town records mentioned the Blackwood family, father, mother, daughter, all dead from a fever. The voices hinted at a darker truth. Were we speaking to the family or something else? The house's story was more complicated than legend suggested. Even with mounting evidence, skepticism lingered, a defense against the unknown. Exhaustion set in after 3 nights. Every shadow and sound became suspect. Mark re-examined footage, searching for logical explanations. We wanted to believe, but also not to believe. Then, as we debated in the parlor, a photograph flew off the mantel and shattered, thrown by an unseen force. We all saw it. No one was near. The silence that followed was absolute. Doubt shattered. Fear returned. The house had delivered a message. We are here. The energy shifted. The haunting was undeniable. Now, we needed to understand what wanted our attention. The shattered photograph showed the Blackwood family, and a hidden structure behind them. We found the door, boarded up and locked behind thick ivy. After prying it open, a wave of cold, stale air hit us. Inside was a small cell-like room, a bed, a table, and walls covered in desperate claw marks. The despair was suffocating. On the table sat a diary, Alara Blackwood's. Its pages revealed the truth. The fever was a lie. The father, consumed by paranoia, locked his daughter in this room, convinced she was possessed. The final diary entry was a plea for help, days before their deaths. The scratches were her last testament. The angry presence in the basement, now we suspected it was the father. The sorrowful voices upstairs belonged to the mother and child. The house's haunting was a family tragedy, not just a ghost story. We had uncovered the secret behind the legend. Our discovery cast a terrible new light on everything. The house wasn't just haunted, it was a prison, trapping the family in endless loops of grief and rage. We came for a ghost story but found a human tragedy. We left at dawn, the house still shrouded in gloom. We'd answered the what, but not the why. The Blackwood house keeps its secrets, its story unfinished. The true horror isn't the haunting, it's the family's fate. As we drove away, one thought lingered: we could leave. The Blackwoods could not.